Welcome back to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. Today we are in for a special treat, and I can't really wait to dig into her bio because one thing really stood out to me, but we'll get to that in a minute. We have Jada Crisp, and she was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and she went on to pursue her degree at Tennessee State University. She studied business administration with a concentration in supply chain management, and she continued her journey with TSU by writing her signature on the world and being an active alumna in the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter. I need to be better with my Clark Atlanta alumna duties, but we'll get to that later. With a strong work ethic, she has correspondingly managed several extracurricular activities aside from her academics, including executive planning leader of the Supply Chain Management Student Organization, Alpha Kappa Psi Professional Business Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, and the university's honors program, for which she served as a proud member. In addition to her extracurricular activities and academics, she also interned with two supply chain governing board partners, including HCA, and the Boeing Company. And when she isn't giving time to her organizations or business endeavors, she enjoys trying new coffee shops, traveling, and hanging out with friends. So we are excited to have Jada come on the virtual stage, and welcome. So happy to have you here.
Yes, Avery, so happy to be here. I'm so excited of all that we unravel and reveal.
Yes. Now, usually have a flow, but I really just want to dig into the one thing that stood out to me the most. So let me make sure that I say this right. You're in the field of aeronautics sustainment, and so that's
Yes.
not an industry that we typically hear about. Yes, we heard about Hidden Figures and maybe Jamie Mae Jemison, who I was first introduced to as a little girl, but we still don't hear about women in the aeronautics field. So tell us, what made you interested and intrigued in this particular field?
Yes. So I started off at the Boeing Company, and it was more commercial aircrafts where we worked on selling aircrafts to and jets to the commercial airlines. But I knew I go work in defense now. So I knew I wanted to work in aircraft from the moment I saw the 787 airplane. I was just like, oh, gee, this is so cool. Like you said, we don't hear about that in our communities more often as we should. But when I saw it, I just knew that it was something that I could do. And I was just fascinated with airplanes. And just as soon as you see an aircraft go out and you just know that you contributed to, that flight, it felt really good. So it started at the Boeing Company. I made a goal to go to the company that I am with now, and I got that goal met. So I know it's not so grand and exciting, but to me, I love airplanes.
Honestly, it sounds very exciting to me. Maybe I'm a geek, but anyway.
Me too, girl.
Geeks United. And it's so funny that you say that not everyone, might be interested in airplanes. One of the things I've wanted to do is actually fly an airplane, just maybe for like 10 minutes, just to see what it's like. I think it's just so intriguing. So that, like I said, that really stood out to me. And I just wanted to know what made you decide to go into this field. And I love it. I think we should really shine a light on industries that are not the typical, especially for Black women. There's so much more to what we associate with careers. And so I'm glad that you are being a role model. I'm sure that people might, even though you might not see it now, people look up to you like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So have you come across that? Or are there like ways you give back to the community? People are just intrigued by your industry?
Yes. So in college or end of college, I had just wrapped up my internship and I secured this role. And a lot of people were like, are you serious? Like, are you truly going to go down there and do supply chain? And I was like, yes, like I'm so excited. So during my time in school and serving in the supply chain organization, I was able to be a recruiter as well. And I was able to go talk to those freshman classes and introduce what our program is all about. And I am happy and proud to say that I was able to bring on students and be able to show them the many options that we have here in business. So yes.
That's amazing. And for those who are looking to break into the aeronautics space, what advice would you have for them to like break the glass ceiling or just anything that they should maybe study while they're in school?
I'd say just do your research on what you truly want because this field is big. It's not just about, I mean, aeronautics is such a big, broad field to me because you have so much things under it. Like I'm supply chain and you can have, engineering, you can be anything. So just find your path in aeronautics. And it's so many aviation clubs out here that you can join and learn so much about the organization. So I say definitely do your research, find a clear path. This is a huge field, just as it would be health or anything else. So find what you truly want to do and how you want to contribute to the sky.
I think it's very sound advice because yeah, there are, and I forget that myself. Even with everything, there's so many different fields, such as the finance side of it, supply chain side of it, the systems, and just different things that
Hmm.
people can do within the field. So it's not limited to one area, which I love. So that is amazing, and kudos to you. I really am impressed. I'm just like fangirling
Thank
over
you
here.
so much, Avery.
Now, one thing I really do want to highlight is your HBCU experience. And shout out to Dr. Ashley Little of the HBCU Experience Movement. This is in partnership with her amazing platform. So tell us, what made you decide an HBCU over a PWI?
Yes. So I always knew, like in high school, I always knew that I wanted to go to a historically Black college university. I knew that I wanted to go somewhere close to home, stay in state. I knew at first I had a few PWIs on my list, but once I did my research, I just didn't feel that they had what I needed. A lot of times HBCUs give you just much more than academics. So I needed the full, well-rounded. I needed to be a well-rounded young lady, and I needed to be structured. And I was structured coming into school, but HBCU really equipped me with every resource that I need to go out and conquer the world. And it's funny, I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and we were just saying how like PWI students, they're kind of grown and it's their norm to kind of go into like corporate America and these standard jobs. And I think with an HBCU, it gives you so much more than just academics and going to class and going home, that we feel like we always have to be busy. We always have to be doing something, and we always accomplish things much outside of our academics or our jobs. So I know that in HBCUs for me, the experience, I mean, girl, I did everything you can think of on campus or at least try to. So I really, I didn't take my HBCU for granted. I really got the most out of it.
Yes, it's so funny that you mentioned that because when you said that HBCU students tend to, and for lack of a better word, we do the most because
Yeah.
that's true. I like every person who I've known from my HBCU experience and every person that I've met, like maybe I met them years later, not even knowing their experience, we always tend to have the same story. Overall,
Hmm.
we were active on campus. Now we're doing great things in our career. And it's just something about the excellence that they instill in us. They do really equip us for not just preparing us for like a corporate job, but if we want to think outside the box,
Right.
that's also available to us as well.
Hmm.
And one of the things that you did that set you apart from other students was being Miss Tennessee State
Yeah.
University. So let's get into that experience. As a fellow Royal Court Queen, I was second attendant to Miss Clark Atlanta University. That was like one of the best times of my life. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you would have the same experience. So tell us what it was like to be Miss TSU and
Oh,
how it just shaped you to be who you are today.
yes, I'm so sorry. But OMG, girl, that was the time of my life. Only 2 short years ago. But I I mean, I'm just now being able to grasp and like really sit back and reminisce on my reign and like, OMG, I did that. Like it's like, OMG, I did that. But it was a time that I just felt like the most, and I still do. I think being a Miss TSU or HBCU queen, it kind of like instilled that if you don't already have it, it already instills that inner queen in you, and you take that wherever you go. So that time for me, it was uplifting just to meet so many people, just to be a blessing to so many people, and for so many blessed people to be a blessing to me, if that makes sense. I just met so many genuine people. I met so many different opportunities that I didn't think that I would, meet. Like you going to the Capitol, or sitting next to the university's president. Like I just, as a regular student, those are things you don't normally think about. And being in that room, it opened up so much to me. It opened my mind. I think my favorite thing about being on the Royal Court was meeting other Royal Courts. So when we went to Leadership for Kings and Queens, and I'm like, OMG, like this is how y'all doing it. Like y'all look so beautiful. We're young. Like we all just have the same vision and the same mission for our schools. So that was probably by far my favorite. Meeting other Royal Courts, bonding with my own Royal Court, and just being able to see what, like you said, we all have the same shares. We share the same struggles. We all have the same experiences. So just to go to another school that's in Maryland or that's, in South Carolina is like, wow, we go through the same thing. So of course it had its delicate, but it also had a very lot of joyful moments. So I really enjoyed that time in my life. I'll never forget that experience.
Definitely. And I don't think anyone who attends an HBCU and active on campus can ever forget their experience. And then for you to be able to now be an author and document your time as Miss TSU is amazing. Again, in collaboration with the HBCU Experience Movement, the Royal Court Edition. Tell us about that process. What was it like to co-author this book? And I heard it's a bestseller. It's already out on Amazon, and you can also find it on the HBCUexperiencemovement.com. But tell us what it was like to just relive those experiences through your book and your chapter.
So when I received the call from Dr. Ashley Little, I was just so shocked. I was like, wow, me? Like you really picked me? But I'm going to be honest with you. You're the first person that asked me that question. And it honestly wasn't an easy transition for me because the pandemic kind of ended my reign. So with that being said, the book gave me closure from my reign because that was the first time that I had to set aside time to go back and think, like, how did I do that? What was I doing at that time? So writing it was a struggle. And I say that because I've never talked about my reign like that. I was always living in the present, and then the pandemic happened, and then life happens. So I'd say, and once I finished it, I was very accomplished. I was like, yes, I did it. I hope that is what everyone can find themselves in the book. But it was hard for me to sit there and process everything and then get it down to so many characters. I was like, OMG, I could take up a whole book by myself. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me.
It's very interesting that you said closure. And I think you're the first queen that I've interviewed that said it was closure because I didn't even know that the pandemic basically ended your reign. So, and I've always said I could not imagine attending school or anything during the heart of the pandemic because I just can't wrap my head around it. So what was that like? I mean, you don't have to share all the challenges, but what was it like and how did you eventually just come out of whatever that challenge was? How did you overcome any obstacles that the pandemic might have presented?
Yeah, so it was like we went on spring break, and the next day, I think it was like my birthday that next week, and Dr. Glover called us in her office, and she was like, well, the pandemic's getting out of hand. Tennessee is kind of forcing our hands, so we have to go to online school. Next day, they're like, we have to evacuate campus in a week. So we're all looking at each other like, but at that time, we were all hopeful. We were thinking that the world's going to go back to normal by May and we were going to be okay. No. Luckily, I had the exact same day that we went online classes. That's when I had my interview for my job and I secured my position. So I was good on that side, but emotionally, I didn't get to say goodbye. So, and it's not like I had post-reign or post-grad depression. I just didn't get to say goodbye. Simple as that. So when I see people now and I'm just like, OMG, I haven't seen you since homecoming of 2019. It's kind of touchy for me. It's very touchy. Not getting graduation, not getting the whole goodbyes. So that was touchy moment.
Yeah, I'm just in awe of that because I've never been able to talk to someone about that experience, like what they have gone through, and so it's just amazing to I never thought we would be in a pandemic, honestly. I never,
Right.
that was
Like,
the
not in
last
our lifetime.
thing. I mean, and then of course you hear about all the other pandemics. I was like, oh wow, yeah, okay. Because when we heard about like swine flu and some other things, it was just like a little here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
And so going through this, there are so many people who are, struggling just to wrap their head around what's going on. So I'm glad that you highlight that in your journey, and then also that you found the closure that you needed. I think that's really
Yes.
important. And then that you're even now still being able to get some closure with seeing people maybe 2 years later. And so
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that and just being so vulnerable and sharing that with our audience.
No problem. No problem.
Now, I would love to know, what can we expect from the next chapter in your journey? I did a little pun there. So, what can we see? What do we expect to see in your journey? Are there aspirations that are on the horizon that you're working towards?
Yes, I am currently just trying to figure out what's my next, if that makes sense. I know that I want to get in the business of selling homes and selling people's dreams homes. So hopefully that I can scratch that off my list. I think corporate was a goal for me. And now that I checked the goal, I'm like, what's next? And I'm always that person that wants to hop around, but I think just continue to find myself in this season, find what God wants me to do and what's His purpose for me, and I promise you, I'm gonna follow it. So, homes is my next step. Hopefully, I pray. If not, I'll be happy with whatever God gives me. So, yes,
We are definitely claiming that for you.
yes.
And because you wear so many hats, I would love to know, how do you, I don't like to say balance, but how do you prioritize your hectic schedule?
Yes, I think I'm a little bit better about it now than I was in college. In college, I didn't know how to say no. I was, oh, I need to go to here. Like, I was having 24-hour days in college, but now I say no. I have my planner that I had in I said high school, girl. I mean college. And I also have like this reminders app that like every time I just put it in there and it reminds me. And I just, take time for yourself. Self-care is, I can't stress it enough. I think Miss TSU taught me that, because you'll bend yourself backwards for everyone else. And then you go home with all these scars and there's no one to take care of you. So take care of yourself, put yourself first, and do what matters the most to you. Do what matters the most to you first, and everything else in order after that.
Those are great words to live by. And for those who are just looking to discover their next step, what advice do you have for them?
I'd say I've been telling everyone this, your life is your reign. You don't have to be a queen to have a reign. Your life is your reign. Cherish your reign. Do what it takes to achieve, set your boundaries and just be who you are destined to be. Don't worry about your mistakes because that take you away from your goals. So just keep going. You'll be stronger as you go. You'll be better as you go, and God will direct you. Ask for guidance. He will lead you.
That is wonderful advice for all of us to just internalize as we continue our next step. So please tell us, how can we keep up with you? And whenever we need a home, we know who to call. So how can we keep up with you and the next steps in your journey?
Yes, so I am on like all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram at Jada Janyce 22, Facebook at Jada Crisp, Twitter Jada Janyce 22, LinkedIn Jada Crisp. Anywhere you can find me. And I also live in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. So if you ever find yourself in Texas, Avery, let me know, girl.
That is so ironic because Dallas is definitely on my list. And so I
Yes.
will look you up. We can do a girls' day and just learn more about each other. So I would love
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much, Jada. Are there any last words you would like to leave with our audience?
I'd say, be yourself. Everyone else is taken, and just be who you truly are. I can't express that enough. Take care of yourself, especially during this season with COVID and we thought we were going to be out of COVID, we're still in it. So just take care of yourself. I can't express that enough. Take care of yourself.
That is really true because my audience has heard this before. There was a time where I did not take care of myself and then it showed up in my health. So it really is important. You cannot run on an empty tank. So please, ladies, take care of yourself. It is really important. So thank you, Jada, for sharing
Thank
that last
you.
minute motivation for all of us to just make sure we hold ourselves accountable. So thank you everyone for tuning in to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. This has been another time with Jada Crisp, and we cannot wait for the next segment. Thanks everyone.